Hi, I'm Debby Brown with DebbyBrownQuilts.com, and I wanted to share with you my newest Cutie quilt pattern and kit. I design cutie patterns, and all cutie patterns start out life as 16 fat eighths of fabric. The 16 fat eighths of fabric in this quilt are in the sashings that go around in between the blocks. After that, I've added 1 yard of a focus fabric, which is the blue stars, just in time for Veterans Day. I've added some cornerstones, an inner border, and an outer border, and it's just a really fun, simple quilt. What's most fun about this quilt for me is the machine quilting. I teach a class called Quilting Essentials: First Steps to Free Motion Quilting, and in that class I teach meandering, continuous curve, ribbon candy, and other patterns. Every design that I've stitched into this quilt is taught in that class. I've meandered in the blocks. I've quilted continuous curve in the cornerstones. I've done ribbon candy in the strips and in the inner border, and then I have done meandering in the outer border. I quilted the entire quilt with white confetti cotton thread in the needle and white deco bob in the bobbin. The reason I use 2 different threads is the deco bob is thinner and I can fit more on a bobbin, so I don't have to wind as many bobbins and I don't have to change as many bobbins. Both of these threads are available on my website. Now, I love quilting ribbon candy on quilts. It's my absolute favorite thing. I understand that not everyone is comfortable free motion quilting this naturally, and you might need an assist. So I used a stencil to quilt the border. Let me show you how. I want to quilt the inner border of my freeze frame quilt with ribbon candy. Now, ribbon candy is my favorite machine quilting design, but not everyone does it naturally. So I'm going to use a stencil for this one. And this stencil is 1, 1.5, and 2 inches in size. And this is a 2-inch finished border. So I have a choice. I can use the 1.5-inch stencil and choose to have it float inside the seam allowance, but inside the seams, or I can get it right up to the seam. I personally want it right up to the seam, but you get choices. And what's nice about these full line stencils is that you can see through them. So I can position this on here. And now I'm going to take my Pounce pad. And Pounce comes in a couple different colors. White is the one I use most often. But since this is white fabric, and I'm going to be doing this on camera, I'm using the blue one. The blue does not iron off, or it may brush off, but I will need to wash this. My pad is fully saturated with the powder. As you can see, it just floats out. So I'm going to take the pad and brush it over top of the stencil. I'm not going to bang it. I'm going to brush it. And there's my stencil. I'm going to start in the corner and make my knot, which involves needle down, needle up, pull up the bobbin thread. And I'm going to take a few small stitches in the corner. That knot holds well. And I'm going to pull on these tails a little bit while I'm stitching because I don't want them to get pulled back down under the fabric. So I'm going to attempt to follow the lines. And attempting is good enough because the lines are going away. No one's going to judge you on whether you stayed perfectly on the line or not. It's just a guideline. Whenever I need to stop, I stop in one or the other of the seams. I think it hides that starting and stopping place better. And then whenever I restart, I make sure I'm not pulling off to one side or the other. So I'm going to start again, wait till the needle goes, and then move my hands. I'm going to move the quilt, make sure I have full access, that it's going to move and not pull on me, and stitch some more. So now I'm at the end of the area that I marked, and I didn't mark the whole border. I don't know if you can see, but some of the markings are coming off already. I mark a little, stitch a little, mark a little, stitch a little. So I can line the stencil up again, making sure it's overlapping. Brush some more. So I've marked a little. I'm now going to go quilt a little. And I'm going to continue stitching just like this, marking and stitching and marking and stitching all the way around the 4 sides of my quilt on the inner border. I use stencils and pounds on a lot of my quilts, probably most of my quilts, and not one person has ever given me the quilt back going, "Oh, you marked that quilt before you quilted it? Pff, I don't want it." So it's important to know that it's perfectly acceptable to use the right tool for the right job, whatever will help you get the look you want on your quilt. Be sure to visit debbybrownquilts.com, check out my new freeze frame cutie pattern, the freeze frame Patriotic kit, and also check out my First Steps to Free Motion Quilting class. Sign up for my newsletter while you're there. Happy quilting!